want to tell you about my favorite brand product, Nike. Um, I want everyone here to think back to when they were young, back to when, the only thing you had to worry about was catching the school bus, for example. Now, during that time, try to think back to seeing your favorite product, your favorite item, something you just had to have. For me, it was a pair of Nike Air Jordans. And to this day, I still get excited walking through a shoe store, a sporting store. And so in this speech, I want to tell you the history of Nike, a couple of shoes that's given them success and the athletes associated with those shoes, and also the impact, the government impact, or the environment impact that they've made in the world today. If you've ever watched a sporting event, you've noticed somewhere on a piece of clothing that famous swoosh. And if it wasn't for today's dress code, somebody here would probably be wearing it. So. First, I'm going to start off with history. Author Jack Lowe wrote in 2011 in Hub magazine, back in 1971, Carolyn Davidson, a young graphics designer from Portland State University, was given a project by Philip Knight, at the time an accounting professor. She accepted the challenge, and within 17 and a half hours came up with what we know now as the swoosh. And at the time she charged $35 for it, which in today's term or money is $100. In 1983, Philip Knight offered her, or gave her a swoosh ring, diamond ring, and an envelope with Nike stock. So not too shabby for her. Does anybody know the meaning of Nike? The actual definition?
Greek goddess or something?
It is. It's Greek, and it's goddess for victory. And according to Caleb Melby with Forbes.com, in 1972, the founder of Blue Ribbon Sports renamed his company Nike. Philip's not the only person responsible for the successes of Nike. He also had a partner, Bill Bowerman. Bowerman was responsible for the waffle iron invention, and it was his love and innovation too that really contributed to the successes of the company Nike. Bill often told a story that he was in the kitchen and he saw his wife's waffle iron, and he thought that would make a pretty good traction device. And so, using a liquid urethane, he poured that in there and created a sole. That's where the sole came from. And then the rest is history. Next, I want to tell you about a couple of shoes that I've learned about. The first pair of shoes, I'll get to that. The first thing I learned about Nike that really was neat was how they separated themselves from other companies by going out and endorsing athletes in many sports. That's really where they were able to kind of set themselves away from other people. According to infoplease.com, Steve Pree was the first person they signed. He was a runner in 1974. Steve Pree set 7 NCAA national championships from 69 to 73 for the University of Oregon, which is kind of funny because that's where Bill Bowerman was the track coach. So they got to know each other for that reason. He set 3 in cross country, 4 in the 3-mile race. He took 4th in the 5,000 meter in the 1972 Olympics. He set dozens of other American records as well, from 2,000 meters to 6 miles, American records, up until the point of his death in 1975, when he died in a single car accident in Eugene, Oregon, just hours after completing a race in Hayward Field from that time. And so up until that point, when he was signed with Nike, he wore a shoe called the Moon Shoe. And this was designed, this is the first pair that he wore, was designed by Philip Knight, using Bill Bowerman's sole invention. And that's what it was then, and that's the Moon Shoe as of now. The next shoe I want to talk about, the athlete associated with it, This one sets it by far the top. Nothing I don't believe will ever be bigger than this. And that was the, according to footlocker.com, column History of Air Jordan. In 1984, Jordan signed an endorsement with Nike. And it wasn't until 1985 that Nike produced the first Air Jordans, the AJ1s. AJ1s, it wasn't the lack of technology, it was the color that they came up with, the design. It set the industry, the sneaker industry, on its ear. The way people looked at it. He also, Nike was, the NBA charged him $5,000 for wearing that shoe during the games, each and every time, which Nike gladly footed the bill. They paid for it. But it also endorsed the shoe because it brought a buzz up about the shoe. So that was the big point for that. Jordan also went on in the 1985 season to become Rookie of the Year, lead the Bulls to the first playoff. Well, not the first, but they had a 4-year drought, and did do so from there. But that was a big, difference. I'm sorry, this is the shoe everybody knows, and that's what they look like today. Finally, I want to talk about the impact Nike has made on the environment. In an article on Nike.com, from plastic to performance, so far Nike has recycled over 2 billion plastic bottles diverted from the landfills today to produce polyester performance gear. Another thing that they've done is they've also recycled 28 million pairs of tennis shoes. And when they do that, they cut them in 3 pieces. Each shoe is cut into 3 pieces. The outer sole is used for track surfacing, interlocking gym floor tiles, and playground. The midsole, the cushioning, is actually used for basketball courts, tennis courts, football fields, and then the fabric of that is also used for athletic padding, surface padding. So they've done quite a bit for the environment. In conclusion, now that I've told you the history of Nike, the history of the shoes, the associated athletes with that, and the impact they've made on the environment, I hope you understand why I like Nike.